Hey woodcutters, TopSaw here. Today I'm going to go over the two different Festool track saws. The first one's a TS55 and then the second one is a TS75. This is the big boy we use on slabs and this is the one we use every day. In this video I'm going to go over the advantages and disadvantages. So I have both the Festools. This is a TS55. Its cut depth goes down to about 2 inches. One thing that is kind of interesting about Festool is that it's always a mix between metric and standard. So that depth cut is actually in inches. And then here's a TS75. This is their big boy right here. And this one goes down to almost 3 inches in depth. Can you see that there? So its cut through is about 3 inches. I feel these tools, both of them are very, very safe. And I really like that aspect a lot. Only my very advanced students are allowed to use these tools. But the main reason I got these tools is not only for my advanced students, but also for me to use in the shop and cutting slabs and cutting, our milled lumber. As we're figuring out how to use that mill more and more efficiently, cutting that milled lumber down to size. The other thing I have here, I do have the CT36 vac for each one of these saws, and these things, they say they're almost dustless. They are. They are actually amazingly efficient and in high quality air. In addition to having the two saws, I have 3 different tracks, and actually I like all of the different tracks. I think this first one, I think these are all metric measurements. This first one is just under 32. It's a FS 800/2. So that's the 32. This long one right here, and then this medium-sized one I have here is a 1080/2, and it is over 42 inches. Actually, I really like them all a lot. Especially since we mill kind of whatever we have, so the lumber we mill isn't like 4x8. So these all work really well. The thing that amazes me possibly the most with these track saws is the ability of these tracks to stay down. I mean, I thought they would stay down and they wouldn't move at all on really nice melamine or on perfect surfaces, but even on rough cut lumber, they really stay down really well and they don't move very much. If you're on the saw and you do a good job plunging it down into the material rather than pushing it sideways, you really don't even need a clamp in a lot of cases. But the clamping system that does go along with them, highly efficient, works really well. Quick overview on how these things work. Here's your bevel gauge right here. You loosen that up and set the bevel. And then there's a lock on the back. This right here is a trigger. It'll prevent it from going down, so it won't go down at all. You have to hold that up, and then it'll plunge. And then the depth of plunge is set right here. So if you set this to 1.5, it'll plunge all the way down and it'll stop on there. And then there's a micro adjust right there to really dial it in, which is really nice because you could just cut on a solid surface, throw down a piece of sacrificial wood, cut on that sacrificial wood, and only go through by a little bit. I really like that piece a lot about track saws. Here's the speed right here. There's a speed setting. We don't actually modify that very much. These are the wear pieces on the base right here that are easily replaceable. And then wherever you're cutting, these things just slide really smoothly along the tracks like this with no problems at all. And then when you're ready to cut, always 2 hands, safety's released. You plunge down into the material, hold it down, cut all the way through. As soon as you let go, it'll come back up, and then the blade. Here are the two saws side by side, the 55 and the 75. And you can see we're on a cedar slab that we milled out. Again, I teach high school woodtop. We take fuel reduction waste in the community. People donate their logs. We mill them up, and then we build projects out of them. So let's give these two things a try. We'll start out with the 75 here. I have the track on there. I don't know if you could just see the clamp on the backside. This incense cedar was milled a little while ago. It has been drying. And then here we can see the depth at almost 3 inches. So I have the maximum depth set on the plunge. You could do multiple passes at different depths, but right here I'm going to do a single pass all the way through to see how it cuts on the cedar. And you can see as well that I'm going to cut right on top of the Festool table, and it is sacrificial MDF right there. I'm actually going to hand the saw over to a student and let him take over so I could watch the whole thing. So the hose will get in the way a little bit. It is kind of nice if you have another person to kind of man the hose and not get hooked up on the track. But you can see with that blade buried pretty much all the way through how nicely it's cutting that cedar slab. I think I do have too much extension cord going here, so there's a little bit of voltage loss through that because I have the long cord on the vacuum itself plugged into an extension cord. So there's a loss of voltage there, but it's cutting this slab beautifully right here, as you can see. You can see cut through, no problem at all. Nice, really clean cut, really easy to operate. If you don't have a straight edge to put on the table saw, it's great. Here's cutting another slab, still a 75. This is also, I think this is also cedar. And you can see me here, a little caught up with the hose again, but it's cutting off the natural edge. A lot of times we forget to do that. We only cut cants on two sides and cut slabs out. So you like the natural edge, and then if you want to build furniture out of them, this is the way to get a straight edge on the third side. You can see again, really clean cut. Blade didn't even mark up the table. Here I am doing a cross cut. You can really see how wobbly this whole saw is. I don't want that whole end to drop off, so I have that plunge set onto the thickness of the board. I'm going to leave just like a little bit left on there. But you can see it's cross cutting just as well. That track is not moving around. And then here I come through the end, and I don't know, maybe there's a 16th left. Just so it doesn't fall off and make a big mess. Smaller cross cut, still on the 75. You can see the plunge all the way through, just getting a clean perpendicular edge right there. And then right here, you can really see how clean that end is. I'm clamping the board from the table. Just really nice, clean cuts. Really nice to use, really easy to use. Cool tools. Here's another rip, getting off the natural edge. I'm doing this on multiple passes. I don't go all the way through. You can see the board's moving around on the tabletop. I probably should have clamped a little bit better. I don't know, there's probably a 1/4 inch left there. And then with that, I just break it off and either run it on the joiner to clean up that edge anyway. So it's nice that the pieces aren't dropping and falling all over the place. All right, let's move on to the 55 now. This is a smaller one. I really like this saw as well. You could tell here I'm using manufactured lumber. It's really good for cutting plywood. Certainly can't really run through those slabs. All of the tracks are interchangeable. All of the vacs are interchangeable. And you can see I just dropped that track on that plywood and it cuts right through. It gives you a pretty clean cut. I don't have the vac set up there, as you could tell from all that dust. Or maybe the vac didn't turn on or something. Actually, the vac was all jammed up with sawdust, probably from trying to cut through a big slab, and it really bogging down and filling the whole area in. So that's me trying to clean it all out. You can see how rough I am on the tools, and I'm not even rough on them compared to the kids. All right, here's another setup, cutting with the 55, cutting manufactured lumber. The whole thing's down on the board, so the depth is set to the thickness of the wood. Cuts really nice and clean. I really like both of these saws a lot. I mean, perfect world, you'd have both of them. The 75 for cutting slabs on the mill, 2 3-inch slabs, and then the 55 for cabinets and around the shop. All right, I'll start wrapping the video up here, so it's not too long. Really nice tools. I really do recognize how fortunate I am to have them. They were pretty much always bought with grant funds. I teach high school wood shop and do tree work on the weekends, and this channel is all things wood, from tree work to woodwork. If you're new to the channel, think about subscribing. I'm currently building a house, and I'm doing a video series on that. So I'll leave it on that. I do love the Festools, even though they're expensive. Man, they sure do a nice job, and it's nice to expose the kids to high quality tools, and they seem to really appreciate it. So thank you for watching. Please comment below with any questions you have, and I'll try and answer those questions as quick as I can.